Good morning, folks. Bay State Yankee here. I thought I'd come back and give you an update on what we're doing with the new woodshed. Last December, I did a short video on detailing our plans of how we were going to build another woodshed. And I promised you I would come back and do a video on the building of that. Well, a lot of time has gone by. That was December of 2020. Now it's September of 2021. And the woodshed is not built. So what I'm going to do is kind of take you on a walking tour of our backyard and explain what we've done and why. And then it kind of makes more sense. But the woodshed isn't built. And maybe it's coming, but we'll see. So why don't you grab yourself a cup of coffee and follow along. And it's a short video, but it's fun. So thanks for tuning in, and come on, we'll get this done. So here we are a year later, and obviously the new woodshed hasn't been built. Once we got into the winter, our plans radically changed, and it was decided that we would put this small project on hold. So currently I'm running this shed, that pile, and that shed, with hopes to maybe next year do a new shed here between the corner of the shed and that stump. As you can see, I have a lot of overflow, and I like to keep it out of the weather. So, but I'll show you what we did instead of doing this. So in the late fall, after I did that video, we made a decision to take down these 5 big pine trees, and they were big. In fact, let me show you a little clip of what they looked like. So even though we called the folks in the fall, they wanted to wait until the ground froze. And we had a lot of rain. So it was January 15th when they showed up. And believe it or not, the ground was frozen, but when you looked at that video, you could see how they had destroyed this backyard here. And we accepted it because we really wanted the trees down. You know, we get a lot of windstorms now, and so they took those down, and then they took from here up here, there was a number of stumps, and they ground those out. And then because we had other plans for the budget, we had to stop there. So I'm stuck with these stumps for a while anyway. So with that down, it then opened up this possibility. And what you're looking at is a 3-season porch. This was a big deck. And we were getting a lot of sun there in the summer. In fact, it would get so hot you couldn't use it. So, and it was a wood decking, you know, wood boards, and they were going bad. We were going to have to replace a lot of them and everything. So we decided to pull all that up, and we put this porch in. We started this end of February, early March, and it was a horror show. I had a good contractor. It was a friend of mine, and it was just the two of us working on this. And we were plagued with weather problems. I got hurt. Then, you know, that slowed us down. And then the lumber prices skyrocketed. So one thing led to another, and it took a while. So we are finally done with the outside. The inside is livable. We're just waiting for flooring to go down. So we just had subfloor, which we painted, and then everything else in there is done basically. So that's what we ended up with. So it was either a woodshed or it was this. So we went with this. Now with the pine trees down over here, with those down, this is west. So we get a lot of sun now coming in this way. So over here, this side of the yard is finally growing grass. This was all acidic. We used to get loads of pine needles and stuff. So in this area over here, where we're doing some cleaning today, we're going to install some raised beds. We're taking out this paraphernalia here, that yellowish bush is coming out. A lot of that stuff over there, and you can see we have a temporary bed set up with some strawberries that someone gave us. So the beds here will be made out of sheet metal. The regular roofing that you see, you can see it at the big box stores. So I found some people locally that are doing it. You know, they've done it for their yards. So I'm going to stop at this point and show you a little clip or some pictures of that, and then we'll come back. So this is what we would call our main garden. There were 7 beds here, and they were made out of wood. And of course the wood keeps rotting, you know, but wood wasn't that expensive then, so we weren't really too worried about it. But in the past couple of years, it's accelerated because these bushes keep getting bigger, those trees keep getting bigger, so it doesn't see any sunlight until noon, which is about noon now. The plants would mold. We were trying to grow tomatoes, you know, it wasn't full sun every day, in particular over in there. So a decision was made to dismantle this row of beds and set up metal beds in the area that I just showed you. I don't know what we'll do here, maybe just grass it, but it seems like a waste, but whatever. This section here gets full sun. So we're going to leave this here, even though it's made out of wood. You can see this here, that top of that bed needs to be replaced. And then over here, I've got a couple bad ones. This one here, that piece is rotted. That's got to come out. This whole bed here has got to be replaced. Usually what I do is I replace the rotten one and I put the new one on the bottom and then move the better one to the top so that I can get the most life out of it. And usually I'll get 4 or 5 years out of a board, but it seems like they're making the boards cheaper. I know that sounds stupid, but they don't seem to last as long. Maybe it's the weather, maybe, I don't know, but it's like every time I turn around, I'm replacing boards, so it's getting expensive. And these are our grapes. When I first showed this in a video, we had put in these 2 posts here, this one and this one. And we purchased two root systems, and my wife really wanted them, and I was concerned. I was watching them and they weren't doing anything, and I was concerned that we were going to lose them. So I bought a 3rd one, and because those were the only 2 poles we had going, I stuck it in there in the middle and we went with it. Well, they all made it, and by spring they had grown way over here, I had put in a new pole over there, so we filled that. So then we went and did 3 more poles. Let me back up here. We did 3 more poles with some cross pieces, and now that everything's working over, and we're getting a lot of grapes. You can see the grapes in there. These are all Concord grapes, and these will either be eaten or we'll make jelly out of them. And they're ready for either. They're really good, really sweet. So, So I have to say that our first foray into growing grapes has turned out really well. These 2 beds here are rhubarb, or were rhubarb, and it's a dismal failure. The soil underneath where I'm standing is all gravel and backfill from a road construction operation here that went on before we moved here. So, while it may look nice up above, down below it isn't really suitable for growing rhubarb in this area. So we're going to move the rhubarb to 1 bed in the new area, probably in the spring, and then see what we can get over there. And if it doesn't grow there, that'll be it for rhubarb, but that's the only options I have. So that's pretty much it for the update. Not sure what's going to go here. We had blueberries, and they failed because of the same reason for the rhubarb failing. This here is a air vent for an underground water tank meant to take the runoff from the roof. It comes down underground. It goes into a tank right about in this area. And you need an air vent so it'll accept the water. But I think the tank has filled with dirt, so that's not working. So we're going to remove this. Someday when I really feel like physical abuse, I'm going to dig this up in the tank and see if we can come up with a different option or something, because it's not working. And while we're talking about water tanks, this water barrel on the shed, we were using this to feed the gardens that we just looked at. Well, if half of those gardens going away, it's kind of redundant to have this barrel way over here. So we're going to empty this, put it away for the winter, but in the spring, we're going to move it way over there on the other side of the porch. Let me show you. So we're going to move the water tank over here, and ironically, this is where it started. And we'll take the water from all of that roof and all of that roof into that tank, and then I have an overflow that goes down behind those flowers. I think you can see it right down in here. That'll be the overflow, so if the tank fills, which it will, it just runs off. And then this area here will be all the new beds, like I just showed you in that clip. So I think it'll be a nice little area. The nice thing is it'll be close to the porch. We'll be able to keep an eye on it, keep some of the critters out, and that'll work well for us. And we're getting older, and it's getting more difficult to take care of these things. So this is a good view of the ramp. I made it long enough so it's really easy to make it up there. And we may have to do a railing at some point, but we can attach that later. And then we just started doing plants in here. This will all be landscaped. There'll be some taller plants in here to kind of soften this edge. So, and then that that grass will be cut back here. So this garden's getting ripped out in the spring. All these iris in here, they're going. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with these daisies, but this whole thing needs to be redone. And then we're keeping this. We haven't used it this much this year because of the intense heat, and then when it wasn't intense heat, we were getting monsoon rains or high winds. So it's just been a horrible summer. So, but it's over. So then just a couple days ago, I put in this little maple. We found this growing stray in the yard, so we stuck that in there, and that's positioned so that when it does grow up, it will shed light, shed shade directly on this, right in there. So that should work out pretty well. So right now it's one of the first fall days. It's absolutely gorgeous out here. But so that's about it for the update. I'm sorry I didn't build a shed. That would have been fun, but maybe next year, and maybe the lumber prices will be a little better and we can get that knocked out. So, but for now, I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you again.